Scout Team, give them a look.
Right.
Welcome, everybody, to the Scout Team Net podcast. Give them a look. I'm Ron Murray. Thank you to everybody that's hanging out with us today, that's getting ready to listen in. And today's guest, we have one of the top young recruiters in the nation, Dallas born and raised, Pleasant Grown's own Southern Methodist University running back coach and recruiting coordinator extraordinaire, Coach Rashad Samples. What's up, Coach?
What's up with it, dog, man? I appreciate you for having me on.
No problem. Thank you so much for, checking in and everything. How's everything been with you and the family during the whole pandemic and the COVID? How's that been going on?
Man, it's been good, man. We've been staying safe, wearing our masks, staying out the way, practicing social distancing, man. It's been real good, man. Just doing all that we can, man, and doing all we can to help others, too, man, in this hard time. It's not just affecting us, and we've been blessed to, still be able to do what we need to do, get what we need to get done, but, that's not everybody. So, we've just been trying to look out and trying to help the people we can and go from there.
And I have to give a big shout out to you, SMU quarterback Shane Buechele, being able to raise all that money to help people during this pandemic. Y'all are really out there giving back to the community.
Man, ain't that a blessing? I know I sound like my grandma, but, man, ain't that a blessing, man? Giving back to the community and help. And that's just, what's been publicized, but there's been a lot of things, that Coach Dykes has done, and, I've done personally, and just people at SMU have done just to help out in the community.
Right. So let's get right to it, Coach. First off, I want to congratulate you. You're an offensive assistant, but now you've been promoted to running backs, Coach. I want to say, big congratulations to you because I know how hard you worked. Looking back on this past year, first year at SMU, first year on the Hilltop, coaching, recruiting coordinator, being able to be back home, born and raised campaign, all of that. You're putting on for your city. How's this past year been for you wrapping up this first season?
Man, it's been really good, honestly. Man, it's been memorable, man. It's my first year, being full-time coach. I couldn't ask to do it anywhere else. The city I was born and raised in. On top of that, man, the magical season we have been able to win 10 games. I think it's been 30, 35 years or more since they've won 10 games. And just to have the opportunity to do that, do it at home, and, the campaign we've been doing and with the billboards and being able to tell kids stories, man, just the whole deal we've been doing has been crazy, man. And I've been blessed. I kind of stepped in at the right time, so I was blessed to be a part of it, man, and it's been awesome.
So speaking of that magical season and just how the Born and Raised campaign came all together, like you said, went 10-3. Big shout out to Coach Dykes. Y'all went to Fort Worth, brought back the Iron Skillet, wrapped up the season with a bowl game. Did you all really exceed expectations, or you all kind of thought that that's the type of season you all could have this past year?
I think Coach Dykes thought. I think collectively, SMU staff and us as a program knew that's what we were capable of. We had some good games this year, and we lost some tough ones, but, the tough ones we lost, they weren't by many points. We lost Navy by a short margin. We lost to Memphis by a short margin, so there was more out there for us. So I think everybody expected that, man. We had some guys on our team that worked real hard behind the scenes, that played hard. Shane came in and, going through fall camp, you would see consistently, what he brought to the table and how he helped those other guys become better around him. And then how our defense played, the way they got sacks, the way they got pressure on the quarterback, the plays they made all season, man, that was the tip of the iceberg, man. And that kind of just carried us through the season. And, shoot, like I said, I don't think we exceeded expectations at all, man. Now we setting the expectations more than exceeding. I think we were setting the expectation moving forward.
And one of those expectations, a word that you don't put with SMU football, prime time, having prime time games of the year. Like, for instance, the game against Tulsa, that's a historic game in itself.
Yeah, man, games like that, man, that Tulsa game was crazy, man. There was a lot of emotions going up and down that whole Tulsa game because, man, they were beating the snot out of us.
What were your real thoughts on the sidelines? Before things really just made the turn, what were your thoughts on the sideline, Coach Samp?
They really beating the snot out of us. And not that Tulsa wasn't a capable team. They were a very capable team. They were a good team. They had NFL players on that team. They had a lot of good players. But, we came out and didn't even punch. We weren't. It was a one-sided fight. So standing on that sideline, I'm just wondering, like, dang, are we gonna ever punch? Are we gonna fight back this whole game? So, man, that Tulsa game, standing on that sideline, it was crazy. And like I said, it's hard, man. It's hard being a part of something like that. And but you're not a part of it. You know, they was playing the game by themselves.
That was a classic game. So with that, you brought up the NFL prospects, and you all had NFL prospects this past season too. James Proche, world-class wide receiver. He was selected by the Baltimore Ravens. He's going to head out to Baltimore. Big trust with Lamar Jackson and Mark Ingram. So just talk about helping James and his development and the expectations that you have with him as he gets ready for the next level.
James got it all when it comes to, you know, the work ethic and things like that. You don't too much worry about James. James is a special kid, man. I'm glad I get to talk about him because kids need to hear this. James is a special kid. He's somebody who's kind of got the mental part of the game down. You know what I'm saying? And I think guys go through their whole career and don't get the mental part of the game down. I think guys play 6 or 7 years in the NFL and never kind of get the mental standpoint. So I'm not saying James is, 100% got it figured out, but I mean, he got it now. He got it now when it comes to work ethic, when it comes to, never letting any moment get too big, when it comes to locking in, when it comes to, remembering where you came from and keep grinding and having the same consistent mentality and not waver, not getting too high, not getting too low, but kind of staying even keel. I mean, James does a great job. So his big point I always tell him is no matter what happens, stay true to who you are because that really has been who we are. He's been resilient through his whole life. He's persevered through every situation he's been through, even coming into SMU when they weren't so good. You know what I'm saying? And leaving out on a 10-win season, he's one of the leaders of that thing. You know what I'm saying? I try to be a big brother and just give him advice and stay on him about being true who you are, man. He's a ball player now. You can you give him tips on this game, and but James is a gym rat now, and he's a ball junkie. So he's going to sit and he's going to watch film all day. He's going to learn, just keeping his mind sharp, keeping him motivated, keeping him positive. Because even now, he's made it. He still got so much to prove, but I got so much confidence in James and what he's going to be able to do, man. And one big thing I talk about is once he starts having that success, once he starts doing the things that I know he's going to do, don't settle for that. You know what I'm saying? Don't settle for that. Get a taste of that and go find more. I'm excited to see what James is going to do, and I know what he's going to do. I'm excited for y'all to see what James is going to do.
We're definitely looking forward to that. And James, he was one of the guys that had one of the billboards around the city. The Soto kid stayed in the city, signed at SMU. Like you said, you got your billboard out in Pleasant Grove. TJ McDaniel, he has his billboard out in South Lake. And, he decided to stay home and play ball. And this is the question I really wanted to ask you, Coach. If anybody doesn't know, Coach Samples, all-world wide receiver at Skyline, played for his father, the legendary Reginald Samples. I have to know, of all the offers you had, how did Oklahoma State get you out of the state of Texas? I always got to ask Texas guys that. How did Oklahoma State get you out of the state of Texas, Coach?
Man, I got no clue, bro. At the time, they had a kid, Josh Stewart, who was an undersized receiver, and he caught about 100 balls, and he was doing this thing, man, and I don't think I was looking at the right things, but, I saw him do that, and I saw myself, hey, I can do the same thing. I never considered who he was as a person, his circumstance, the situation he fell into, and what all went around it, but that's kind of how I ended up at Oklahoma State, long story short, man. They was throwing the ball. Dez had just done his thing.
Right.
Josh had just done his thing, man, and that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to catch a bunch of balls, so I thought falling in line was the key.
I always hear coaches say that when they have the opportunity to coach their son, just some of the greatest moments. What are some of the great moments that you remember being at Skyline and being able to be coached by your father, the legendary Coach Samples?
Man, I had a lot of great moments looking back.
Right.
But looking back now, oh, man, just how hard he was on me, man. It made me who I am today. It made me the man I am today. It helped me understand how to be hard on my players and how to love them at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, he was my dad. He was a father figure, and he did love me. You know what I'm saying? But he was ultimately really hard on me. I coached my players how he coached me, Just wanted to make him happy, man. How hard he stayed on and the excitement I got when I did things that I know made him proud, even when he didn't show it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Things like that always. I look back and, I think about tough times like him taking my cell phone when I dropped too many passes in practice, man. Why he'd take my cell phone for weeks. I got to explain to people that I'm on punishment for dropping passes. Man, I look back and, some of those games like the DeSoto game and
right.
Once those other big games, man, being able to do that for my dad, even though we came short, man, looking back on that, man, I always smile. It always warms my heart.
Big shout out to Coach Samples, who's leading that juggernaut out in Duncanville. We're going to be excited to see what they do this season. You leave Skyline, you head to Oklahoma State, play there a little bit, then you transfer to the University of Houston. But then there was the decision where you went from playing football to becoming a coach. Just talk about that decision to leave playing football, then start your coaching career and how that goes. Because granted, you may not have been able to get to the point you wanted to as far as going to the NFL. But one thing I like to talk to kids about, you can still be successful if you're not able to get to that point. So if you can just talk about that journey from when you knew that playing was possibly over to starting a new career where you're successful now.
Oh, really, man, it wasn't my decision.
Okay.
It's crazy. I was playing ball at Houston, and I had transferred from Oklahoma State to Houston, playing ball for Coach Herman, Texas now. And he kind of took me under his wing. I was doing a really good job. I was playing, and I was starting at the time. I think we were just about to play OU, and they just had put out our depth chart, and I was the starting 8. We were playing OU that year, the starting 5 receiver. I had a couple concussions while I was there, and I got another pretty bad one right before the game, a couple weeks before the game. Shoot, man, that knocked me out for good,
Right.
And that was a hard one for me. That was a hard blow for me. So, I remember being in a rut, for some of the same things you talk about, not wanting to give up the game, not wanting to stop playing. Once they told me I couldn't play anymore, they literally took my pads out of my locker room because I kept going back, putting on my pads for practice, saying I was okay.
Yeah.
So they had to literally take my pads out the locker room. I remember showing up to a workout and them kicking me out, saying, like, they told me no. So they physically and literally removed me from the football field. So I remember after that happened, I kind of went into a rut. I kind of went into a little upset. I was kind of upset. I stopped coming around, didn't want to be around the game, was kind of mad at the game, you know what I'm saying? So that was a hard time for me, but, luckily I had people around me who brought me back in. I remember getting a call from Coach Herman, him telling me, hey, come in. I remember sitting down in his office, and him looking me in my eyes saying, you're going to be a coach. And he's like, I don't care how you feel about it. He was like, you were born in the league. He was like, these boys on the team listen to you more than they listen to some of our position coaches, Daryl White brought me in and told me the same thing. He said, hey, man, he said, the effect you have on these kids, the way these kids listen to you, the influence you have on these kids, man, he was like, you being selfish. You're not only hurting yourself, you're hurting them too because you're taking away some of the things you can give them, man. And so Coach White and Coach Herman put their arms around me, and, man, they literally drugged me out there and forced me to coach.
Yeah.
And, eventually I found my love for the game again while being out there. I don't think I ever stopped loving it. I think I kind of found my niche, kind of started finding my groove.
Right.
Start kind of being comfortable, start kind of finding myself in coaching, and that's kind of how it started, man. I did that for 2 years, went to Texas, and ended up at SMU.
From Houston to Texas, big shout out to Coach Herman out at UT. Finding your niche in recruiting, of course, you're not the same age as a lot of those guys, but you can relate in that and just seeing how your career started to escalate. How that feel, and how did the opportunity with SMU come about?
The opportunity at SMU, it kind of came about in a weird way. I was still coaching at Texas. We had just had a camp down in Austin. And SMU came down, and, I obviously was coaching at the camp. I was doing my thing. I talked to Coach Dykes. I had talked to Coach Dykes before a couple times just in passing. And then he had shot me a text basically saying, hey, man, when you get a chance, if you ever in Dallas, let me know. I'd love to have lunch with you. So we go sit and eat at Papados, I think in Cedar Hill. Okay. Or Duncanville, the one, the Papados. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
The Duncanville.
Yeah, we all know that Papados, yeah.
So we sit down, man, and, I actually put on the suit. It's crazy. He'll laugh. I put on the suit. I'm thinking it's an interview.
Hey, dress for success. Dress for success.
Yeah, I came in there suited and booted, notepad, binder, portfolio. Coach Dykes walked in there with some khakis on, a little T-shirt, some glasses.
Yeah.
So, we sat in there and we talked for about 2 hours, man. We just talked about who I am as a person, who he is, my vision for SMU, what I think they could do better. Man, we just went back and forth, talked. We left that was right before, I think, my dad's state championship game. And so ended up leaving that dinner. He just ended up texting me, hey, I'll stay in touch. I never heard from the man again. So I was like, what? That's crazy. I mean, I didn't hear from him again for about 6 months. But the next time I heard from him, he was calling me. He picked up the phone and called me, and he was just like, it's funny because now again, knowing Coach Dykes is exactly who he is. He was like, hey, man, what's up? I was like.
After 6 months.
I was like, yeah, it's been 6 months, and I was in an Uber because my car just, the wheel on my car just fell off on the side of the road. I just had a flat.
Yeah.
and my rim all the way on the ground. So I'm in an Uber, frustrated. He called me. I'm like, hello? He's like, what's up, man? I'm like, what's up, coach? He's like, what you doing? And I'm like, well, I'm in an Uber, coach. I just had flat. And he's like, and Coach Dykes is funny, man, because no matter what you say, if he's going fast enough, he'll say, oh, okay, that's good.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm in an Uber, coach. He's like, oh, okay, that's good. I got you. He was like, well, we basically got a job opening. I want to hire you. Bam, straight like that. And so
that's awesome.
That's exactly how it happened, man. I mean, 6 months. He just picked up the phone, called, and was just like, hey, man, I want to hire you. What I got to do? And so it's just, man, I think the opportunity came. You know, I had started the whole Dallas to Austin trend, getting all those Dallas kids to Texas. You know, Prince Dorbert, Jaquindon Jackson, kind of started that movement, that hashtag, and you know, just some of the other things I was doing with coaching, helped guys like Lil Jordan Humphrey develop, playing a big part in guys like Devin Duvernay's development.
Y'all had the social media on fire.
Man, we had the social media going, man, and you know, I think people took notice, you know, and I think that's important, having a good brand on social media and being able to show kind of what you're doing and show your work. I think that played a part in it, but that's just how it came about.
Despite you being so young, you've definitely put in a lot of work, especially on the recruiting trail. And for a lot of the young athletes that might be listening right now, what would you say are some of the do's and some of the don'ts for the kids that are trying to get exposure, trying to get recruited more? Because social media right now is a beast within itself, and there's so many people telling them what to do. They're being pulled so many ways. So for somebody who does it for real, and you're very much so great at what you do, what would you say are some do's and don'ts for some of these student athletes out here?
Man, do's and don'ts, man. I would personally say, man, especially talking from my point of view, don't fake it, man. These guys gonna find out who you are. It's best to let these guys know who you are. You know, let them get to know you, let them be personal with you, and figure out if that's the guy you want to be. And when I say don't fake it, that's better for you and for them. You know what I'm saying? Because what you don't want is to play this yes sir, or not even yes sir, just to play this character that you're not.
Oh, okay. Okay.
You trying to put on this front that you're not. And you get on campus and, you know, who you really are comes out, not in a negative connotation, but just whoever you really are. And those coaches don't know that. You know what I'm saying? They thought they got this one guy, and that's not who they got. On the other end, they thought they was getting something that they're not. You know what I'm saying? So be true to yourself, because that's going to allow you to see what coaches you fit with, what coaches you like, what coaches, you know, that like you, what coaches has the same goals, same morals, same vision you got. That's a big one for me. And then another big one for me is just watch how you treat people. You know, a big thing is, you know, never just turn the cheek to somebody, you know, because just like me, it came back down to it. Coach Herman recruited me at Ohio State, you know, and I went to Oklahoma State, but I kept in touch with Coach Herman. I would call him all the time when I was in college, you know.
Right.
And it just happened. He ended up getting a head job at Houston. I ended up playing there, and I ended up coaching under him. You know, he ended up giving me my first job twice. Relationships are key, man. So create these relationships and make them genuine, man. It don't matter what school you're going to. You never know who you're going to need and know who's going to come back and if you're going to transfer. So my thing is, man, form relationships. This is the chance where the ball is in your hands. And you can do whatever you want to, man. Make the most of it. Besides college football, make the most of it for your life. That's some advice I can give some of these young guys going through the recruiting process.
Jewels from Coach Samples. All right, one more thing I got for you, Coach, before you get out of here. Full-time coach, you have your own position group, you have the running backs. Now, granted, the top rushers for the Ponies, they're gone. Xavier Jones, Keymon Freeman. So just tell me about, now I know you got talent in the backfield. Just talk about your guys and what we can expect from the Ponies in 2020.
Man, I got a room full of young guys, man. So, shoot, we trying to figure out what I can expect too. You know, I'm always be honest, man.
Yeah.
I'm trying to let those guys set the tone too, man. We got all of them talented, man. We got Ulysses Bentley, T.J. McDaniel, Tyler Levine, Tamarick Williams. I mean, we got guys who all have talent, all have potential, you know, but playing this game is about trust. It's about proving that you can do it every single snap. You know what I'm saying? And right now, I'm trying to figure out who those guys are. I wouldn't come up here and tell you, that I know all those guys are that because I don't check. You know, those guys are still trying to prove. And even as a coach, I'm trying to prove to them that I can help them get there.
Right.
So that's the fun part about my room, man. I tell them all the time, I say, man, this is an audition for all of us, man.
Ooh, okay.
It's an audition for all of us, man. Y'all auditioning, and I'm auditioning, man. I'm here to show that I can do this, and y'all are here to show me that y'all can do it, man. So we all trying to prove something. Let's go to work. Let's go to war. Let's grind together. I'm excited about what the potential those young guys bring to the room. I'm excited about the competition. that those young guys are going to bring to fall camp this year. And, man, I'm excited to get back on the field.
Coach Samples, thank you so much for your time. The Scout Team Net podcast. Give them a look.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much, Coach Samples. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you, man.